What do you fear? We've been talking about this a lot in our youth group lately, about the things that we fear as students, the things we fear as adults. And maybe for you as a parent, there's different fears that you have versus being a parent versus just in your life. We all have different fears and things that can sometimes impact the way that we parent, impact the way that we live and see the world. As we've been talking about this with our students, we realized that fear sometimes keeps us from telling the truth. It keeps us from telling people how we feel. It keeps us from having hard conversations. And so we want to give you some helpful things, some helpful tips on how can you walk with your students through hard conversations that a lot of times are driven by fear. Well, we know in 1 John 4:18, it says, perfect love casts out fear. And so when we are living out love the way Christ calls us to, we are driving fear out of the equation. And for many of our students, they're just fearful. How is my parent going to respond to the things I'm going through? Well, we just want to give you a couple things that helps you feel like, oh, you know what? I can have these conversations. The first thing is this: build a relationship of trust. If you think about your students right now, can you say, I know that they trust me and that they know what they're going to get from me when they talk to me? Sometimes as parents, we can be a little high or low, right? Based on what our kids tell us. Maybe we respond in a way that we're not always too happy about. I know for me as a youth pastor, sometimes I respond out of anger or frustration with a student. And that kind of can encourage that fear that they have and drive them back towards those feelings. Instead, do they trust me? And do they trust the response that I'm going to have when they talk to me about hard things? One thing I always tell parents is open doors with small conversations so that big conversations can come right through. If you are able to have small conversations with your students and just drop small moments of truth and also small moments of reminders that you love them, that you trust them, then when those big conversations come, which they will for middle schoolers, for high schoolers, when those big moments come, it'll be easier for them to easily walk through the door because they already trust you with the small things. One thing to remember is if they aren't hearing from you, they're hearing from somebody. And if you aren't hearing from them, they're talking to somebody. Now they have phones, social media, even just TV, Netflix, all these different things. The people at their schools, they're hearing from people and they're hearing worldviews and thoughts on different things. And so if you aren't talking to them, if you aren't encouraging them, they're going to go to somebody. And so if we can build a place of trust with our students and be the primary person they want to talk to, the primary person they want to go to when they have a crisis, when they have a moment of struggle, when they are fearful of something, then that's going to be a safer space for them than maybe some of the things around them. Mr. Rogers, one of my favorite people in all the world. Maybe you used to watch Mr. Rogers. A lot of our kids in the youth ministry don't even know who that is anymore, sadly. But he once said this: anything that is human is mentionable, and anything that is mentionable is manageable. The issues that we have in our life are way more manageable when we talk about them. Sometimes fear and the enemy of this world can cause us to think that the things we're dealing with are too big to handle. And so sometimes we keep them within, and then they just build and build and build. But when we remember any emotions that we have, whether it be emotions of depression, anxiety, even emotions of self-harm or suicide, those are human emotions. And when we realize that we can share those things and mention them to people that we trust and people that love us, then it's way more easy to manage those things. And the truth is, we know very many students in our youth ministry that are struggling with those type of feelings. When they realize that, oh, wait, I can mention how I feel. And that person I share it with, they are still going to love me. They are still going to care for me. Then I can manage this way easierly than I thought I could. I don't even think easily is a word, but we used it today. In our bio for this video, we give you a little resource, 10 tips on how to have hard conversations with your students or how to answer hard questions. So we would love for you to click that link, print off that, save it on your phone, however you want to use that. 10 tips to help you have these hard conversations with your students. Remember, these hard conversations are always right around the corner, but if we start with trust, if we allow space for them to talk about these things, and if we remind them that we love them and that anything is worth mentioning and anything is going to be able to manage. Why? Because we have Christ, and his perfect love casts out all the fear that we have in our lives.